Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to talk about recreation, leisure, and fitness. And I wanted to start with a little disclaimer. When I was kind of practicing this, I kept finding myself saying, before COVID or because of COVID, this and that. So today, as far as this presentation, we're going to pretend like we're not dealing with the pandemic. And so a lot of the activities that we're going to talk about didn't happen last year and may not be happening this year, or maybe just in virtual means. But our hope is that everything is going to open back up and we'll be able to operate as usual. So just a little disclaimer that we're going to kind of not go there as far as the COVID thing, and in hopes that everything will be operational. So I want to start with asking you to think about, what do you like to do for recreation, leisure, and fitness in your life? And while you're thinking about that, I'll just tell you a little bit about how I would answer that. One of my hobbies is I like to make things out of vintage jewelry. I love to bake and make royal icing decorated cookies. I enjoy volunteering. That's me volunteering at Operation Kindness. I love to play games. My husband and I play Bananagrams, and we're obsessed with this card game called Demon right now. And for fitness, I like to do yoga. We have a yoga group in my community that we do outside. And I love to garden. So those are things that I enjoy for those things. So what does participation in those activities do for you? So anybody want to unmute and chime in? When you have recreation and leisure activities, what does that do for you? Anyone?
So when I was able to, I love to go walking and listen to music. Well, when we had our house, I would walk in the neighborhood. So I did try that with Zaya, but it didn't work out because she was screaming about the playground. So I'm trying to find a middle ground to get back to that. But I like that. I like watching movies, and I'm not into the artsy, crafty thing, so I haven't found my niche yet. So that's pretty much all I have going right now.
And what do those activities do for you? How do they help you? Like for me, it might help relieve stress or get my mind off of work. What about you?
I think it helps with stress. That those are the down times when I don't have the kids with me. So I'm able to think and not have to be chasing after anyone or, worried about their doing. So it's kind of my stress reliever. Also gives me time to, like, my mind is not going a million miles. So I don't have to worry about what I have to do. Like, that's just my time to not have to worry about anything.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything to add to that? Okay. Well, this is just a quick outline of kind of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about why all this is important. What are some benefits of participating in rec, leisure, and fitness? What sometimes makes it difficult to happen? We're going to talk about different types of activities, how to choose them, how to teach those skills, and then I'm going to share some resources with you. And Colleen's going to chime in throughout and also talk about how to make some of this happen in the home. So I don't know about you, but when I share about this, a lot of times I'm thinking about my brother. I have a younger brother with autism who's 52. And, he would be happy to not have to participate in leisure. I mean, he would like to just listen to his music and pace and hang out. So sometimes I think, in general, when we think of rec and leisure, you're usually thinking of something that somebody freely chooses, and they do that because it's enjoyable. But sometimes our kids aren't interested in doing that, or they only want to do certain things or something related to their special interests. So it may not be something they choose the first time. So sometimes we have to work to give them incentives to actually try new things and explore new things. So we'll be talking about that. So why is this important? There's actual research that shows that participation in leisure activities enhances the quality of life. I know it enhances the quality of my life, and it's the same for individuals with disabilities. And we probably all know that if someone is inactive, that it can lead to weight gain, and that can lead to developing health problems. I know we all dealt with a lot of opportunities for inactivity in the last year, and I certainly experienced the weight gain with, just not getting up and doing as many things as I was used to doing. And having a disability increases the probability of someone becoming overweight or obese. And I thought these statistics were very eye-opening. So children's obesity rates for those with disabilities is actually 38% higher than those without. And for adults, it's 58% higher than those without disabilities. And that's frightening. Those are frightening statistics to me. So I'm a transition specialist, so I'm always thinking I need to explain why this is a transition issue. So why is developing rec, leisure, and fitness important for transition? Well, a big part of transition that we need to look at is how is an individual going to be integrated into the community? And that needs to be part of the transition plan. So when you start having transition addressed as part of your IEP, I'll actually have a list of activities that are made so that an individual is working on certain things to help them for their post-secondary life. And I always address rec and leisure. It might be suggesting that a family look into volunteering together. It might be looking into recreational activities in the community, but things that are going to help a person to have a satisfying, active life in the community. And so the other thing is we have our days pretty filled when we're in school. But when we exit services, a lot of times there's a lot more time to fill, and we want to fill those with meaningful activities. And that can be done through recreation and leisure. And as far as talking about individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, the research shows that they participate less in leisure activities compared to their peers, and they tend to take part in more passive, solitary activities. And a lot of times they are doing it with parents or other adults because they need that support. So that's a big difference. And barriers, sometimes it's hard to access recreation and leisure. There's not as many opportunities to be exposed to activities they might enjoy. There may not be as many opportunities. There may not be accessible environments in the community. And there's expense. There's time away from work and, especially if they need support. And sometimes transportation is an issue. And sometimes an individual may not have the skills they need to participate in certain activities. And the sad thing is that sometimes the support that's needed is always the parent, and we don't want that. Parents need a break, number one, and we need our children to be using supports that are inclusive, that are out in the community, or that are supports that they may use later as adults. Let's see. Okay, benefits. I bet y'all can think of a lot of different benefits of recreation and leisure, but again, that whole balance and quality of life. As far as social skills, it's a great place to work on social skills and improve those, and for children to learn about regulating their emotions and that kind of thing. The feeling of autonomy and self-confidence, motivation, self-awareness. And then, of course, the obvious physical benefits, especially for fitness, that, strength and endurance, that stability, all things that we need in other areas of life. And then, of course, learning specific skills. And there's lots of different types of activities. You can have full inclusion, where you're doing it with peers, typical peers. There's special needs segregated activities that we'll talk about. You can have one-on-one instruction. It might be appropriate for like music, or if you're having learning something new before you join a team. Recreational, we've got competitive, we've got students that compete at different levels, and then there's all those creative types of activities. So let's talk about full inclusion first. So full inclusion, it's great to always consider full inclusion. But I think you have to kind of look at what is your goal? What are you wanting to get out of that experience? Are you wanting to actually improve skills in a certain area? Or are you looking for more of a social experience? Because you could get both. And what we recommend is that when you're investigating participating in a full inclusion experience for recreation, that you talk beforehand with the coaches or the instructors about what your child's needs are, and just be very honest and upfront about what to expect. And as far as supports, seeing what kind of supports they may have available, such as peer participants, and that kind of thing. Colleen, you want to talk about this?
Absolutely. So I love to talk about recreation and leisure because I have heard of so many positive experiences different families that I've worked with in the past have had. And it always comes down to think of something your child enjoys and go out there and ask and prime your child, prime the people who will be helping your child, and just do it. So I could go on and on about this, but some of the big ones that I really want to share is scouting. So I have the benefit of being a Girl Scout co-leader, and way back before I was even the co-leader, we were so excited that there was first a girl with autism that joined our group, our Girl Scout group, and then we had a girl with Down syndrome join our Girl Scout group. And those girls, we've all grown up together. A lot of the girls are actually in the high school together, so they see each other. And watching those girls grow and expand and try new things, and all the independent skills I've seen them mastering and going above and beyond everyone's expectations, and seeing the socialization, it's just been the most rewarding thing. And it's been such a win-win for all of us. Yes, the mom of the student with Down syndrome, she has been more involved than the other moms. However, we've taken her daughter camping many, many times, and mom and dad had some time to themselves and went on date nights, and we've done overnights with their daughter, and it's gone so well. So she's right there with us. She helps us set up the tent. She does all the activities we do. And just like I said, seeing the growth and seeing how important that's been as a part of their life and the relationships that have formed. I really can't say enough about it. Now, it's not always going to be a perfect fit. You've got to kind of shop around a little bit and make sure that you find a leader and a troop that's accepting and accommodating and, willing and excited about the opportunity to include your student, your child. But once you find that fit, it's absolutely amazing. So definitely go out there and search and find, and don't give up on that. Another example I have, Civil Air Patrol. My son's actually involved in the Civil Air Patrol, and I know there are students with special needs in the Civil Air Patrol. And again, they teach leadership skills, their socialization they're learning. So many good things coming out of that as well. You just have to ask, like I said. I worked with a dad who wanted his son to take an art class over the summer in Frisco at the Athletic Center. And he was really leery about it, and he didn't know how it would work. And I'm so glad that he contacted me and asked me about it. And I said, hey, call them and ask and see what they say. If they, you never know, the class size could be small. They might be able to provide extra support. And I know the Frisco Athletic Center always told me, have parents, because if we have the staff, we could have someone else on hand. Julia, I think we're getting a lot of feedback because of our computers, even though we're upstairs and downstairs. So if you turn your sound off, we might not get that. Oops. Okay. So I think that did the trick. So he decided, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to call, I'm going to ask. And Frisco Athletic Center was like, yep, it's a really small class. We would love to give it a whirl. We'll give you our money back if it doesn't work out. So let's just have them attend at least one class and we'll see how it goes. And it actually went really well. He stayed for the whole summer session. And at the end of the summer, the dad emailed me all of the beautiful artwork that his son did while he was there. So I can't stress enough, ask and communicate all of your child's needs and just try it. And it never, never hurts to ask. So if you can reshare, Julia, because I don't remember what was on the next slide. And then youth groups, of course. So many stories that families have told me about how amazing the youth groups have been for their kids. I mean, looking at where these groups are coming from, they are supposed to be accepting and accommodating and loving of all. So that's part of their foundation. So those are great, safe places to have your child. And you're not going to have a perfect world, so you have to be on top of it. And you have to kind of be a little flexible here and there and learn to move on when you need to. But open communication and just trying.
Okay. Thank you, Colleen. I've actually been to several Eagle ceremonies for previous students, and it took a lot of work on the part of the parent. But as the scouts got older and the scouts were pretty much supposed to run things, they were able to back their way out a lot. But it was so awesome to see that happen. So as far as inclusive activities, they do say that if they don't have support, a lot of times you don't see a lot of social interaction with those around them. So having a support for that is very helpful. So some tips about that. And we would love for the support not to be a parent, but to be a peer, of course, or someone with the organization. But and some of our students that receive waiver program services might have a respite care or attendant care or a recreation person working with them out in the community. And that's an example of a great person that could handle the support. But some suggestions is that they not make it look like you're assigned to that one person. So you're interacting with other kids and just kind of being that link to the person. Also modeling interactions for other youth and adults so that they can, kind of take over as that support person as far as the way you communicate and handle behavior. And then only offering help when needed. It seems like that if somebody is helping a child too much, that kind of puts a barrier up and others won't feel as comfortable about getting involved and providing that support. And then back off and let things happen on their own as much as you can. A lot of times you can back off and then kind of zoom in if you need to, but a lot of times we support too much because we assume we need to, but we don't really. But having an adult there sometimes is going to keep others from wanting to interact. And then don't forget about the things that need to be taught that may not be about the specific activity. And I call that the hidden curriculum, or people call that the hidden curriculum. For example, if you are on a soccer team, your son or daughter may need to learn about the rules of soccer and how to kick a ball, but they also need to know that it's typical for the teammates that are sitting on the bench to cheer for their team. So that's not anything specific about soccer, but those are things that need to be supported and taught. Okay, as far as choosing activities, there are so many opportunities out there that sometimes it may be hard to kind of narrow down and decide what you want to do. But give your child choices if you can, and help them to kind of think about what are their areas of interest. The example that I think about is my son, who's now grown now, has always been, his special interest was weather, very interested in weather. And so early on, we gave him some different choices of things to do. And he chose to do this storm spotting training that they did every year in Collin County. And he did that every year. And what that grew into was being a ham radio operator and getting very active in those types of things. And that all came from identifying his interests. We recommend that you expose your kids to a variety of activities so they can try different things. And then if you identify that there's some skills that your child may need before you participate, you can kind of work on those beforehand if possible. Some other things to think about is what does your child like and dislike? If they love the water, you might want to do something regarding aquatics or swim team. If they don't like the water, on the other hand, that may not be a good fit. So thinking about what their likes and dislikes are, what their interests are, maybe some of their sensitivities and fears. Actually, the weather thing kind of came out of a fear for my son. We kind of worked with him on that, and it turned into an interest. So what motivates him or her? And then again, I kind of talked about this earlier, but thinking about what are your goals? What are you looking for in this? Or do you want your child just to have a socialization experience? Do you want them to have a hobby or a leisure skill? Or is it to actually develop a specific skill like being able to play soccer or an instrument? And you also have to think about, are there any challenges that might prevent him from participating in certain activities? And that might be for because they might need more support than that activity can offer. It might be for safety reasons. So those are things to think about. And how much assistance. There's going to be some activities where having a one-on-one aid is not going to be possible. And can your child participate in a group? So those are different things to think about. Back to you, Ms. Colleen.
Okay, I am going to need the PowerPoint, so just keep it on there. It'll be fine. So you are going to have a big part of teaching your child the skills that are needed for recreation. And there's going to be other people that are going to be interacting with your child that might have some really great ideas that you can grasp onto and expand on. But one of the big pieces is using visuals. And we talk about using visuals for behavior. We talk about how we use visuals when we're driving. We all stop at stop signs, I hope. So visuals are very, very important. Well, it's important for teaching leisure skills as well. We just talked recently about how visuals are used to help people with self-help skills, but also very much so recreation. So there are some examples of different visuals on the next page, but I'm going to show you some things we have here also in the Family Resource Center. We actually have a visual for each different game that we have in here. There's one for playing Trouble, Jenga, there's Memory, and these are for parents to come in if they borrow the game. They're actually inside the games, but we have extras that parents can take and keep. Connect Four is in here, Guess Who, Uno, so many, many games. So use visuals. All you have to do is like look on Pinterest and pick any leisure activity and you can find visuals on it. And if you can't, you can always ask us and we can find you visuals. There's visuals for sports. There's visuals for scouting. There's visuals for going places. Definitely think about that. If your child's struggling with things or they need a little more priming, use visuals. Another idea is using polyspots. So if those are the little round plastic circles, and you'll see those in a picture on the next page. And those can help you know where to step, where to stand, where to wait. We actually have sort of polyspots in our stores right now that show you where to stand and wait and how to stay 6 feet apart. So if they work very well for us, it's also a visual. It's a visual reminder to us, then of course they're going to work for our kids. So think out of the box in that way. How can you use those polyspots or throw something down or put some, just put some tape down where they're supposed to stand and wait or move from spot to spot. Also using verbal and physical prompts. Sometimes they need a little more prompting, and it's okay. It's okay if you're starting out as that little birdie on their shoulder that's whispering directions to them of what they're supposed to do and when they're supposed to do it. Most kids need that. Sometimes I wish I had somebody telling me what to do and prompting me when I'm new at something. So don't be afraid to do that, but also be aware of when you need to stop doing that. I think that's the key. Prompting is good, but prompting is good to stop as well. Once they know what they're doing, they need you to back off, and they may need somebody else to do it instead of you, because kids a lot of times listen much better to other people than they do to us. Making something into a routine or having it in a schedule is very, very important. So if you could do something consistently every day, you're much more likely to get more buy-in. So let's say you want to increase your child's physical activity. Put it in their schedule that every day when they get home from school, as a family, you're going to go on a walk. Or, there's like we talked about, the scouting, those meetings, put them on the calendar so your child has that, awareness of where it is in time and space, so they can see, every Sunday we have a meeting between 2 and 4, and there it is on the calendar. Definitely get them used to using routines and schedules. That's an adult skill, and that's a life skill. We do it, and we need to start teaching our kids and giving our kids the ability to have that. You can use video and peer modeling. There's plenty of free videos out there. Just Google. Or you can ask someone to make a video for you. Like, for instance, let's say your child's in scouting and they're going to go camping, but you're doing the next camping trip. Have them take a quick little video of what it's going to be like when they're camping and how they're putting up the tent and what the expectations are. You can have a cousin do a video of something that they'll get involved in. You can find, I actually do this all the time. I always Google videos of games before I play them. If I don't know how to play, I learn how to play the games by watching a video of other people playing. And you'd be so surprised if you've never Googled like an Uno game before to see how many videos there are of people playing Uno. So use the videos. Kids love watching videos, so you want to run with that. And use feedback. So let's say you have your child involved in that art class. Talk to the art instructor and say, how do you do? What can we work on at home to make it better next time? Just take that positive, productive feedback and take it and run with it and keep tweaking and making things better and better for each time. You practice, practice, practice. That's the best you can do for your child, is give them the opportunities to practice the skills that are going to make permanence. Remember, we're not going for perfection. We're going for permanence. So some other ideas, and we have here, you can see in the picture, and you can see behind me as well. In our Family Resource Center, we have 2 huge shelves full of games that can be borrowed for 2 weeks. We have plenty of parents that borrow a bunch of games, return them 2 weeks later, and get a bunch more. And there's a few that their kids really grasp onto, that they really love, and then they'll just purchase them on their own. But this way, you're not spending the money on things that might not go over well in your home. But I am like Julia, I'm a huge game player. So a lot of these games have actually come from my house and we've used them very well, and then we've moved on. And it's nice to know they're in here because I borrow from here all the time. There's actually some spaces in there because we just went away for the weekend, and I borrowed a bunch of games and brought them with me. But, games are something that you have to really take the time to do it. And in my mind, I always say, anytime we're spent on a game, anytime we're spent outside is a time that they are not secluded. They're not on their phone. They're not staring at an iPad. They're not doing something that's not social. So I just keep it a little mental count of how many minutes and hours per day that I'm able to pull them away from those things and get them engaged. So that's a good way to give yourself positive reinforcement, because we need that as parents. There's lots of fun, the board games, get the visuals, just keep trying, and don't give up on them, and try different ones. And, if you're making that as part of your family, your child's much more apt to do that when they're older and share that joy of games with others that they're around. So definitely try to involve more board games in your home lives. There's other interactive games too, if they really are stuck on the whole things on the TV or video games. There's one called Jackbox. That's a family favorite of ours. And everybody plays it on their phone and puts in different answers for different things. And it's a lot of fun. We love from that. So there are different interactive games you can do that are still social. You're still doing them together, even though they're on the big screen. You can have virtual gatherings with extended family, or maybe your child's really interested in something like space and you have a distant cousin who works in a space program. Ask if you can virtually meet with them and your child can learn things from them, ask questions, or meet with family members. And that kind of goes back to that. I know we weren't going to talk about it, but even during COVID, that became a big thing that a lot of people started meeting virtually. And I think it even connected people that weren't as connected before. So you could continue that. That's one of those silver linings we got from COVID. I would continue that. And I know we are, as a family, we do gingerbread house decorating. That's one of our traditions every year. And we've been doing it wherever all of us are located around the United States. But this last year, we all did it together virtually. So we all got to see each other's houses and laugh together and spend time together. And I think we will continue to do that. So think out of the box. How can you bring your child closer to other people virtually? And how can you use get them involved in those recreational skills in a virtual way? Because that's a silver lining that I think is going to continue in many ways. You can read together, have a movie night as a family. And you can play different games. There's lots of things. If you look on Pinterest, movie games and things like that you can play. Eating together, dinner games, that's rec and leisure. Eating is a leisure skill because that becomes a social thing, very much so. Picnics are fun. You can do them inside, even under your table. You can do them outside, and that's eating again, and that is leisure. Service to others. This is another one I can't stress enough. So I've worked with many families that have gotten their kids involved in service, whether it's going and putting boxes together to box up food to feed the homeless. And I knew a family that brought their daughter to do that, and she was so happy the whole time. And she had very significant needs and even physical needs. So it wasn't easy for her, but just being around people who are doing things for others, it's such a positive, loving environment. And don't we want our kids to be involved in that? And they're learning skills while they're around people who are happy and giving. So look at opportunities to provide service to others, and that can lead to things that are going to definitely benefit your child as an adult. I do a lot of Habitat for Humanity with my son because he loves to build and put things together. If your kid loves Legos, Habitat for Humanity, if you're not building a house, because when they're younger, you really can't, we put furniture together, and it's a lot of fun, and it's basically big Legos, right? We're following the directions and putting things together, and it's bonding and it's service to others. So many service opportunities. So think about that option. Just going on walks together, bike rides together, swimming together. Do that little mental tick of how many minutes, how many hours your child's not in front of a screen and they're getting exercise. They're getting physical exercise, which is making sure that they're not part of that statistic of that weight gain. All that physical activity is going to help combat that possibility of weight gain that Julia talked about. Also cooking together. Who doesn't love food? So cooking's very motivating. And so many good skills to learn from cooking. So here's the examples of some visuals. We talked about doing schedules. We talked about using the visuals. There's the poly spots, so you can see what that looks like. And different choice boards. Once you start gaining some more leisure skills for your child, you can put them in a leisure schedule, or you can put them as a choice board. One of the big things, kids are not necessarily going to be motivated to jump in and do something that you're suggesting that's going to increase their leisure skills. So you might have to use a first, then visual. First, volunteer, then we'll go to the park And I do this all day long, all the time with my kids. I give them their first then. And I don't think they realize it. Sometimes they do. And we joke about it. But I'm always telling them, all right, well, first we're going to do this. And then we're going to do that. I provide that reinforcer in there so they know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that it's not going to be something they don't want to do. And then they are. But kids are built to resist. They're always going to resist what you propose for the most part. So just know that. And so many times, once you get them involved in something, they realize, oh, you know what? I kind of like this. Or they don't admit they like it, but you know they do. So think about that first then. When can you put that in? And don't give up when they resist, because remember, they're hardwired to do that. So did I cover everything, Julia? I'll let you continue on with your...
Sorry, I have to keep going out to get back to my microphone.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, I'll get off and then you can continue on.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. And, you know, I may be saying this later, but just asking your child to try something 3 times at least, because a lot of times you don't know really what you think about it until you've tried it. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't like to do things that I'm not good at. I enjoy things that I do well at. And so I don't do well at something that's brand new to me. So if I had, you know, quit yoga after the first one because I couldn't balance and I felt like a dork and uncoordinated, I wouldn't have realized that how much I love it and how much it benefits me. So, you know, you have to try things more than once. Just to give you some examples of some different things you can do for activities in the home and to help teach skills that your son or daughter may need for different recreational activities. This is a really cool thing. It's called Exercise Buddy. And you can do a 14-day trial, and it's available on both platforms for Apple and Google Play, or Android. And it's something that you can put on your device and teach, you know, through visuals, different workouts, different routines. You can do stations. It'll, you know, use a timer on it. And it even has things like visual supports and video modeling, and different ways to, you know, build in reinforcement. So this is a really cool application that our adapted PE teachers told us about. So that's something to check out. Another suggestion that they have, Just Dance videos. This one's a little weird. It has Lady Gaga music on it, but a lot of times students love to imitate the movements that are done on these videos, and there are just a lot of them on YouTube. And everything is on YouTube. Another place that you can find things is on your streaming apps like Hulu and Netflix. They have all kinds of different exercise videos for kids, for adults, yoga, all kinds of things. Okay, so this next thing is I'm just challenging you to be creative and do your own thing. So I'm going to show you, again, I told you about my brother Bobby. Well, he was at my house for a whole week during Snowvid, and I made him work out. And so this is me with Bobby, and I'm making him move for 30 minutes straight. I said, you know, you have to keep moving. So I just put some of his favorite music on, and I'm also just making him keep moving, but I'm kind of involving his interests, and that's my dog right there. That's him kicking, and it's actually stomping. But we had so much fun with it, and I also sent it to his group home and suggested that they do something like that. Just be creative, and we had fun doing this. I'll show you another part of it. Let you watch that for a second. That's it. He keeps stopping and saying thank you, meaning he is done. So well, we had fun doing it. So anything you can do like that. anyway, we had fun with that. And another, there are some silver linings with COVID, because now there are so many virtual activities that you could do at home when we're either not able to get out. Maybe you can't access an art camp right now or something like that. Well, you could go on to different websites. This is Autism Speaks, but there's lots and lots of resources online. And these are all virtual activities that you can do at home. And they have them by category. So there's learning activities, but as far as leisure, there's all kinds of arts and crafts, different games that you can play. I love movement and mindfulness, things that will help calm your child, or yoga, or that will help them be reflective and relaxed. Different music. There's a 3-month free trial of guitar lessons, things that involve outside sports. So there's just so many different things that you can check out online. And I do think that's something that it definitely does not take the place of doing things face to face, but I think it's something that we will be seeing forever now that we've learned that we can learn that way. So the rest of the time, we're going to be talking a little bit about just some things opportunities that you might not have thought of, and some things that are some resources of activities and camps and things that are available in our area and the North Texas area. So things to think about. You've got your public and private facilities. You could go to the pool or the Y. A lot of neighborhoods have pools. Different exercise and sports, hobbies, games, arts and crafts. Social events are sometimes hard to find, but they are there, and that's such a great way for leisure time to be spent. We talked about youth groups. There's also different religious and cultural activities. And then we have our specific organizations that are for special needs for recreation, like the Special Olympics, Miracle League, that kind of thing. So what I've done is I have a listing that I've made several years ago that I went and looked for a listing of different camps and recreational opportunities, and I couldn't really find anything that was comprehensive and up to date. So I created this, and it has everything from day camps and camps to leagues and lessons and sensory friendly or sensory events, that kind of thing. And it has the links to it. And I just wanted to show you this really quick. And this has been shared in a lot of different places. If anyone ever has anything to add to it, or you see something that needs to be corrected, let me know. It's been updated over spring break. And again, we don't endorse any of these programs. We just want to share ones that we've heard about and that families have given us feedback about. And like my little note says, you just have to kind of contact them and see what their current situation is with COVID. But I will say, when I updated this over spring break, that a lot of the camps and a lot of the programs are opening up this summer face-to-face. So some of them may have less registration slots available because of social distancing and stuff. But I was very happy to see that a lot of the activities are going to be starting up again. So it's alphabetical. So you can just scroll through here, and what you'll see is where the location is. You'll see the website, some information about, who they cater to. I mean, what population, what ages, but it's all alphabetical. So you just kind of have to search for what you're looking for. I hope that is something that will be useful to you. And then please chime in, Colleen, on any of these, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the items on the list that I'm familiar with in the different areas. So first being creative performing arts. There are some great alternatives out there that are not inclusive necessarily, but are geared for some of our kiddos. So if you have heard of North Texas Performing Arts, they've been around for a very long time. Well, Starcatchers is their therapeutic arts or their special needs troupe. And I have had students that have participated in shows there, and they just do a wonderful job. I went to the Wizard of Oz, was the last one I went to. And they have students there that were able to learn all their lines and be a lead. And then we had students that participated that were nonverbal or had to have a peer right next to them, or had somebody read the lines for them, or they didn't have a speaking part. So, I mean, the full range of abilities, and that was really great to see. Plano Parks and Recreation, Adapted Recreation has so many activities, and a lot of them are performing arts and creative arts and crafts. Another cool thing that's very different is Stomping Ground is an improv club in Dallas, and they have an organization, a nonprofit called Improv for Life, and I've had students that have participated in that, and they teach kids and adults improvisation for use to help with anxiety or individuals that might be on the spectrum. They have some really wonderful therapeutic activities that they do. And I've gone and seen them do improv at night, just like I was going to see a famous comedian. It was really neat. There's hands-on camps at the Dallas Museum of Art. Sound Starts does music therapy, but they had a program that had worked with kids on the skills that they might need if they wanted to participate in band at school. So that's cool. These are just some different lists of athletics and sports. Acing Autism is tennis. Cheerleading, we've had a lot of our students participate in special needs cheerleading teams. I did update the list recently, and Pro Spirit, I think, is the only one in the area doing it right now, but the hope is that after the pandemic's behind us more, maybe some of those other ones will pop up again. We've got Special Olympics, Miracle League. They have not been having their league this past year, so I'm hoping that will start again. I know one of our attendees has participated in the Golden Eagles, adaptive baseball. RISE Adaptive Sports, they work with individuals on things like water sports, water skiing, tubing. Even individuals with significant physical impairments have been able to do things through RISE Adaptive Sports, and that's on the list also. And those are just some examples. As far as fitness, there are camps where you just learn how to ride a bike or swim. Again, Plano Parks and Recreation has all kinds of possibilities for that. Powered to Move is an organization out of Allen that wants to help kids that may not be able to run or walk participate in marathons and things like that. So what they do is they help provide equipment to allow a child to run with an adult, a parent or another adult, and participate in bike rides and things like that. It's really cool. And then Special Strong Fitness and Nutrition, y'all may have heard of Special Strong. They were having boot camps. I'm not sure if they're having them anymore, but they have individual fitness training with a trainer, and they've all been trained in special needs specifically. I have a former student that, if you saw the before and after pictures of his upper body strength, just doing wonderful things, working on confidence. It's a great organization. Therapeutic horseback riding. I know a lot of our students participate in this. Blue Sky is in Aubrey. eQuest is in Dallas. Main Gate is here in Prosper. And I think Pinnacle is in Aubrey. And there's probably more, but those are a few of those. A lot of times they have waiting lists. So if it's something you're interested in, at least get on that waiting list so that you can start moving up. As far as social activities, social opportunities, Best Buddies is a wonderful peer inclusion friendship program that we are starting at different campuses here in Prosper, and I'm sure that will grow. Friendship Circle is actually part of a Jewish organization, but it's open to anyone, and they do all kinds of different activities. Right now it's virtual. I love the adult dances that some of the Parks and Recs do. Allen, McKinney, and Plano do them now, and they have them like quarterly, and they'll have different themes, and you sign up to go, and they have different age ranges, and those are great opportunities. And another organization that does a lot of different things like day camps and different skill building lessons and things is United Through Hope. You may have heard of them. They are in Denton, but they also have, I think, a branch in Frisco, and they have like summer camp opportunities where they even provide transportation to Denton from this area. So just a few ideas. These are just different sensory-friendly activities. They're on the list. I know some of them are not happening at the moment, but hopefully will be soon. And, you know, if you have somewhere you go, kind of like what Colleen said, if they don't have a sensory-friendly day, suggest it. Tell them how many people would benefit from that. And who knows? I know the list for sensory-friendly activities has grown a lot over the years. These are different day camps that you might be interested in. Heroes Camp, what I really like about Heroes Camp, it's in Richardson, but we have a lot of families that drive that far because it's a great experience, and they accept students that might have some behaviors or need help with toileting and personal care needs. And a lot of some day programs do not. So I will say that they book up very early. So if it's something you're interested in, you would want to check on that as early as you can. And right now, like for the summer, they didn't operate last summer, but they're operating this summer at half capacity because of social distancing. So those are some day camps. Overnight camps. I know a lot of families might go overnight, but we have had kids that were so nervous and apprehensive about going to overnight camp. And when they came home, they could not wait to go back. Camp Summit's been around forever. A lot of these are further out, but families make the trip every year and it becomes a tradition. Like Camp Barnabas, it's in Missouri, but it is, we have a lot of different families that participate there. And then the Joni and Friends Family Retreat, I think one of our participants has participated in that. That would be a neat way to kind of ease into doing an overnight camp, because that's a family camp, and you would go together. I think the location might have changed. I may need to change that. The other thing about overnight camps and some day programs is a lot of times they will have activities for the siblings, for the brothers and sisters of kids with special needs. And that is where my heart is. And that just is so wonderful that they are supporting the siblings also and giving them a chance to go away, but still spend time away from their sibling doing fun things. There are a lot of the camps are disability specific. So this is just some examples of camps for things as specific as Tourette's syndrome or type 1 diabetes. Camp is for kids with severe disabilities, or they might be medically fragile, and they may be going to camp there when they were not able to go to any other camp. So these are really good ones to check into. Colleen, you want to talk about these inclusive playgrounds and what your part was in this?
Sure. Actually, I have my friend Jenny Jensen here in the room listening in, and she was the president of Hope Park. And the two of us were on the board and started that up there in Frisco, Texas. I don't know if any of you have been with your kids, but it's always packed every time I go check on it. So that was one of the highlights of my life, and I'm figuring yours too, Jenny, was being part of that build and everything that went into that for a good 5 years of our lives. But that's a fully accessible park, so you can go on it with wheelchairs, walkers. Nothing is going to stop any child. We even have a slide there that is works well with cochlear implants. So there's a lot of love that went into that park and a lot of our time. And it's just a fun place. So these are great little parks to visit. All of them are the all abilities or fully accessible parks. So we're hoping that that just becomes the norm. That was the dream at the beginning. Every park should be built so that every child could go anywhere. We do not need wood chips anymore. So you could do little park explorations and try a different park every week. We're actually going to be doing a training all on summer planning for families of children with special needs on May 13th at 11:30. So look out for that. And we'll be talking more about parks and all different ideas of what to do in the summer. So, yep, definitely visit some of those parks.
Thank you. I got to help with that and have a very small part in it. But I think a lot of the other ones around town were modeled after Hope Park, and that y'all were the pioneer really in this whole area. So some other little miscellaneous things that are on the list that I think are pretty cool. Challenge Air is an organization, a nonprofit that wants children with special needs to experience flying an airplane. Yes, like actually being at the controls with a pilot with them. And so they have, there's McKinney is the closest one. I think there's also one somewhere in Dallas, but they have a fly day once a year. So that'd be a good Facebook page for you to like. And when they put information out about that, I know they fill up. So that's really neat. Especially Needed is an organization that hosts events for different holidays, Christmas, Easter, Halloween, or fall festivals. And they are enjoyed by many, many people. You probably know about Hawaiian Falls. I think it's twice a year they have their champion days where they open early, and families are able to go there and experience the park without all the crowds and all that, and have some special time there. And then iFly is where is it the no gravity thing where you can float like you're in space, and they have an all abilities night where they will spend extra time and let some of our families do that. So those are just some miscellaneous things I thought you might be interested in. So I know that's a lot of information. A few reminders is to keep an eye on our Family Resource Center website, and especially on our Facebook page, because the Facebook page is where we're going to, like if we get information about especially needed having an event coming up, or something about Miracle League registration, things like that, we will put those on the Facebook page. So keep an eye out for that. And then if cost is ever an issue, ask. A lot of times there's scholarships for programs or activities. You don't know unless you ask. And I mean, if it's like other scholarships, sometimes there's scholarships that aren't claimed because people don't ask. So don't let cost be an issue. At least check into possible scholarships. And it doesn't hurt, like Colleen said, ask, can you accommodate my child? I think Colleen had a number of stories about children that were able to benefit because the parent asked. And especially if there's not a lot of people signed up for an activity, they're going to be unlikely to accommodate you. And, it's a win-win for your child and for anyone else that's involved. Also, I think I mentioned this earlier, make sure you have your child try something several times before you decide if it's a good fit or not. Occasionally it might be very obvious from the very beginning, but if you can, try something several times. Our last tip is to have fun. It's always fun. Your child may not know it's fun right away, but a lot of times they can look back and go, I'm so glad that I tried this, or that I was exposed to this.
Julia, can I just stress on the win-win comment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, firsthand, so many times. I just want to stress to you, don't ever feel like you're putting people out and you're afraid to ask, because it is without a doubt a win-win. Your child is a gift to the world. And if you're keeping them from doing things, then you're keeping that gift from others. The impact, and I'm going to get emotional, but the impact that these two members have had on our Girl Scout troop, on all the girls and everyone that we've encountered, we've worked with, we've done anything with, has been so significant in so many ways. Down to this Friday, we're going to be delivering posters for National Autism Day, and our troop member who has autism has already made all her posters she wants to share with other kids, and she's coming with me to deliver them. And the growth in her and the growth in our girls, actually the whole troop did one of their big their bronze award on helping students with special needs. And So it's a win-win. Do not keep your child from activities thinking that it's going to affect others in a negative way. It's never negative. It's positive. In the end, it's positive. So please share your child. Your child is a gift.
Well said. Oh, that touches my heart too, to hear that.